For that, first France, with the government's hopes of lowering unemployment, have been dashed.
Yes, at least during the month of December. President Hollande, he made it a key pledge to start lowering unemployment by the end of 2013. But Monday's figures from that month, December, show that the labour market is yet to turn a real corner. 3.3 million people were looking for work in December, according to the Labour Ministry. That's an increase of more than 10,000, and it means that the number of job seekers has risen to another record high. The French government is calling for more efforts.
The unemployment figures clearly show evidence of stabilization in unemployment and a sharp decline in youth unemployment. But stabilizing unemployment and declining youth unemployment are not enough. Obviously, it must go further, faster, and more strongly.
Now, in some suburbs in France, youth unemployment is as high as 40%. Analysts blame a lack of opportunities in these areas where the young often lack the financial means to travel or move for work. But one French charity has a different approach, loaning young people small sums of money to start up their own businesses. Helena Casas has more.
Benny Jamel runs his own business, an eco-friendly car wash in the Paris suburbs. He started up last year thanks to a €5,000 loan to buy equipment, but he couldn't get it from a bank. He couldn't even get a business account. He says that's down to banks' reluctance to work with people from the suburbs.
When you go to a bank or any institution and your name and accent are a bit different from other people's, and you tell them you come from the suburbs, believe me, whoever is in front of you will already have a preconception.
Benny borrowed his money from a charity, Addy, that offers microcredit loans of less than €20,000 a time to would-be entrepreneurs cut out from the banking system. In France's deprived suburbs, 40% of young people have no jobs. The scheme aims to help them make their own.
They start by creating their own jobs, and then, of course, as their business develops, their activity expands. We have what I call success stories, where people started off on their own and they've hired several employees afterwards, so we contribute to creating employment.
These young people already have an idea for their own business. They're practicing hard-headed negotiation at a training session the charity runs. And it works. 68% of borrowers here are still going strong after 2 years, about the same as the average for startups.
Now, fears of a slowdown in emerging markets continue to put pressure on global stocks. Shares in Asia, they were sharply down Monday on concerns that growth in China and other emerging markets is slowing. A looming financial crisis in Argentina and political risks in Turkey are other contributing factors. Currencies in Argentina, Russia and South Africa, they've also fallen victim to these concerns. They've been trading down against the dollar in the past week or so. It's been a similar story for the Turkish lira, but the lira snapped back against the dollar on Monday. The Turkish central bank announced that it would hold an emergency meeting Tuesday, fueling speculation that it will take action to stabilize the currency. So that's one story to keep track of on Tuesday. Now, those emerging market fears, they've also taken their toll on stocks in developed markets. In the United States, shares, they ended Monday's session below the flat line. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down around about 0.5%, or 0.25%, I should say. Earlier, European indices extended falls from last week over those emerging market fears. The London FTSE 100 down 1.7%. The Paris CAC 40 down 0.4%. Let's look at some other stories in brief next. German companies that are getting more and more optimistic. Business confidence in the Eurozone's biggest economy hit a 2.5-year high in December. That's according to a well-watched business climate index from research institute IFO. The head of the institute says that the reading shows that Germany had a promising start to the year. The hopes of turning around the Royal Bank of Scotland have taken a hit. The British lender has announced it's set aside £3 billion or €3.6 billion to cover legal costs. That includes compensation payments for mis-selling insurance in the UK and mis-selling securities in the US before the financial crisis. RBS is 8% owned by the taxpayer after a government rescue back in 2008. And Samsung has struck 2 deals to reduce the risk of costly legal disputes. The Korean maker of electronic goods has agreed to cross-license patents with Google. The Korean firm has also agreed to end a long-running patent dispute with Sweden's Ericsson. The deal will see Samsung pay Ericsson around $650 million in initial royalty payments. And on the back of that, we saw Ericsson shares trading up in Stockholm on Monday. And with that, I'm going to hand it right back to you, Mark.
Marcus Carlson, as ever. Thank you very much indeed, Marcus Carlson, there with all the business. It's time now for Media Watch. We're joined by